June 323 BC. Babylon. A 32-year-old man lies dying in a palace that was never meant to be his. He rules an empire stretching from Greece to India, 2 million square miles, the largest the world has ever seen. He's fought in over 70 battles and never lost. He's conquered 3 empires, founded 20 cities, and spread Greek culture across the entire known world. His soldiers worship him as a god. His enemies call him the devil incarnate. And now, in the prime of his life, he's dying. Fever consumes him. His generals gather around his bed, demanding to know, who will inherit this vast empire? He whispers a single word, Kratistos. The strongest. Within hours, he's dead. Within decades, his empire will tear itself apart in wars that kill millions. But his legend will never die. This is Alexander the Great, a man who conquered the world by age 30 and changed the course of human history. But who was he really? A visionary genius or a megalomaniacal tyrant? A liberator or a destroyer? The answer is more complex and more shocking than you could imagine. This is the story of the man who conquered the world. 356 BC. Pella, Macedonia. Alexander is born to King Philip II and Queen Olympias. From the moment of his birth, legends swirl. On the night Alexander is born, the Temple of Artemis, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, burns to the ground. Ancient historians claim this is an omen. The goddess left her temple unguarded to attend Alexander's birth. Philip receives 3 messages on the same day. His general has won a great victory, his horse has won at the Olympic Games, and his son has been born. A seer tells him, a son born on such a day will prove invincible. But Alexander's childhood is anything but simple. His mother, Olympias, is a priestess of a snake-worshipping cult. She sleeps with serpents coiled around her arms, terrifying even Philip. She tells young Alexander that his true father is not Philip but Zeus himself, that he's descended from gods and destined for greatness beyond mortal men. Whether Olympias believes this or is manipulating her son, the result is the same. Alexander grows up believing he's divine. Philip, meanwhile, is transforming Macedonia from a backward kingdom into a military superpower. He creates the phalanx, a revolutionary infantry formation with soldiers wielding 18-foot spears in a nearly impenetrable wall. He conquers Greek city-states one by one, building an empire. And he ensures his son receives the finest education available. He hires Aristotle, the greatest philosopher in the world, as Alexander's personal tutor. For 3 years, from age 13 to 16, Alexander studies under Aristotle in the gardens of Mysa. Aristotle teaches him philosophy, science, medicine, literature. He gives Alexander a copy of Homer's Iliad, and Alexander becomes obsessed with it. He sleeps with the text under his pillow, memorizes entire passages, models himself after Achilles, the greatest warrior in Greek mythology. But Aristotle also teaches Alexander something more dangerous. The idea that Greek culture is superior to all others, that non-Greeks, barbarians, are naturally inferior and fit to be ruled by Greeks. This ideology will shape Alexander's entire worldview and justify his conquests. Yet there's a contradiction in Alexander's education. Aristotle teaches moderation, rational thought, the golden mean. Alexander becomes the opposite, excessive, impulsive, driven by passion and ambition that knows no bounds. At age 16, Philip leaves Alexander in charge of Macedonia while he campaigns elsewhere. A Thracian tribe rebels. Alexander doesn't just suppress the rebellion, he destroys their city, renames it Alexandropolis after himself. At 16. 2 years later, at the Battle of Kyrenia, Alexander commands the cavalry that breaks the Theban sacred band, an elite force of 300 warriors who had never been defeated. Alexander leads the charge personally, fighting in the front lines, taking wounds, refusing to retreat. Philip's generals are shocked. Princes don't fight like common soldiers. But Alexander isn't interested in being a typical prince. He wants glory. He wants to surpass his father. He wants to become Achilles. 336 BC. Philip is preparing to invade Persia, the greatest empire in the world, stretching from Turkey to Afghanistan. But before he can launch the campaign, disaster strikes. During a wedding celebration, Philip is assassinated, stabbed by one of his own bodyguards, a man named Pausanias. The murder is sudden, brutal, and immediately suspicious. Pausanias is killed while fleeing, so he can't be interrogated. And the timing is perfect for someone: Alexander. At age 20, Alexander inherits the throne. But he's not the only heir. Philip had multiple wives, multiple sons. Alexander's claim is contested. Several nobles plot against him. Alexander's response is swift and merciless. He executes his rivals. He kills potential claimants to the throne. He murders his cousin Amyntas, who had a legitimate claim. He even orders the death of Philip's newest wife and her infant daughter, eliminating any future threat. Historians have debated for 2,000 years. Did Alexander orchestrate his father's assassination? The evidence is circumstantial but compelling. Olympias definitely had motive. Philip had divorced her for a younger wife. Alexander had motive. He feared Philip might name a different heir. And both benefited enormously from Philip's death. We'll never know for certain. But what's undeniable is this: Alexander inherits an empire, an army, and a plan to invade Persia. And he wastes no time seizing all three. 334 BC. Alexander crosses the Hellespont into Asia with 35,000 men. The Persian Empire, ruled by Darius III, has 1 million soldiers. The Macedonian invasion seems suicidal. But Alexander doesn't just cross into Asia. He makes it theater. He stops at Troy, site of the legendary Trojan War. He runs naked around Achilles' tomb, places a wreath on it, and declares himself the new Achilles, come to avenge Greece against Asia. It's brilliant propaganda. His first major battle is at the Granicus River. Persian forces wait on the opposite bank, holding the high ground. Every military advisor tells Alexander to wait, to find another crossing. Alexander ignores them. He charges directly into the river, leading the cavalry personally. An arrow pierces his armor. A Persian noble nearly kills him, swinging a sword that splits Alexander's helmet. His general Kratistos saves his life, cutting the Persian down. Alexander survives by pure luck. But he wins the battle. And the legend begins. Over the next 2 years, Alexander conquers the Western Persian Empire. He takes city after city. And here's where his genius and his brutality become clear. Cities that surrender peacefully are treated well. Alexander keeps local governors in place, respects local customs, even adopts Persian administrative systems. But cities that resist are destroyed. When Thebes revolts against Macedonian rule, Alexander razes it completely, killing 6,000 people, enslaving 30,000 more. When the city of Tyre resists a siege for 7 months, Alexander crucifies 2,000 men and sells 30,000 women and children into slavery. The message is clear: submit or die. And most cities submit. 331 BC. Alexander reaches Egypt. The Egyptians hate Persian rule, so they welcome Alexander as a liberator. The Persian governor surrenders without a fight. Alexander is crowned pharaoh. But he does something extraordinary. He journeys into the Libyan desert to the Oracle of Siwa, one of the most sacred sites in the ancient world. What happens there remains one of history's great mysteries. Alexander enters the temple alone. No one else is allowed inside. When he emerges, he announces that the oracle has confirmed what his mother told him. He is the son of Zeus Ammon, a god incarnate. His generals are skeptical. His Greek soldiers are uncomfortable. But Alexander insists. From this moment forward, he demands to be worshipped as divine. Historians debate what really happened. Did the oracle actually proclaim him a god? Did Alexander bribe the priests? Did he fabricate the entire story? Or did he genuinely believe his own mythology? Whatever the truth, the political effect is brilliant. Egyptian religion requires pharaohs to be divine. By claiming godhood, Alexander legitimizes his rule in Egyptian eyes. But it also reveals something darker: Alexander's growing megalomania. He's starting to believe his own propaganda. And that belief will have catastrophic consequences. Meanwhile, Darius III, the Persian emperor, is assembling the largest army in history. Over 250,000 men, including war chariots, war elephants, and elite cavalry. Darius chooses the battlefield carefully. The plains of Gaugamela, flat and open, perfect for his massive force. Alexander has 47,000 men. The odds are 5 to 1 against him. It should be a massacre. Instead, It becomes Alexander's masterpiece. October 1st, 331 BC. The Battle of Gaugamela, the largest battle of the ancient world. Darius positions his forces in a massive line, planning to envelope and crush the smaller Macedonian army. But Alexander doesn't attack head-on. He does something no one expects. He angles his advance, moving diagonally across the battlefield. Darius's line has to shift to match. Gaps appear in the Persian formation, and Alexander strikes. He personally leads the companion cavalry, the elite Macedonian horsemen, in a wedge formation directly at the gap. They punch through the Persian lines, heading straight for Darius himself. Darius, seeing Alexander charging toward him with murderous intent, panics. He flees the battlefield in his chariot. With their emperor gone, the Persian army collapses. Soldiers flee in every direction. Alexander pursues, hunting Darius personally. The Persian Empire, the greatest power on earth for 200 years, crumbles in a single afternoon. Alexander captures Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis, the Persian capitals. He seizes treasures worth over 180,000 talents of gold, equivalent to billions of dollars today. He sits on the throne of Persia. At age 25, Alexander has conquered the known world. But he's not satisfied. He wants more. He pushes east, into territories even the Persians never fully controlled. Afghanistan, Central Asia, the edge of the known world. His generals beg him to stop. His soldiers are exhausted. They've been campaigning for 8 years. They want to go home. Alexander refuses. There are more worlds to conquer. But something is changing in Alexander. The victories continue, but the man is deteriorating. He's drinking heavily. Macedonian culture celebrates heavy drinking, but Alexander takes it to extremes. His behavior becomes erratic, paranoid, violent. In 330 BC, during a drunken argument, Alexander murders Kratistos, the man who saved his life at Granicus. Kratistos criticizes Alexander for adopting Persian customs, for claiming to be a god. Alexander, drunk and enraged, grabs a spear and runs him through. When he sobers up, Alexander is devastated. He locks himself in his tent for 3 days, refusing food, weeping uncontrollably. But he doesn't stop drinking. He doesn't stop the increasingly paranoid purges of anyone he suspects of disloyalty. He orders his historian, Callisthenes, executed for refusing to prostrate before him, a Persian custom that Greeks consider degrading. His soldiers are forced to perform proskynesis, bowing as if Alexander were a Persian god-king. Many comply. Others rebel. And Alexander's response to rebellion is execution. By 327 BC, Alexander is deep in Central Asia, fighting brutal guerrilla warfare in Afghanistan. He marries Roxana, a Bactrian princess, in a political marriage meant to secure local alliances. But he's also planning something unprecedented, to invade India. No Western army has ever gone so far east. But Alexander believes he's destined to reach the ends of the earth. In 326 BC, he crosses into India and faces King Porus at the Battle of the Hydaspes. Porus has 200 war elephants, creatures Alexander's army has never fought before. The Macedonians are terrified. But Alexander wins again, using tactics that neutralize the elephants. And then, for the first time in his life, Alexander's army refuses to follow him. The Hyphasis River, India. 326 BC. Alexander announces his plan to continue east, to conquer the entire Indian subcontinent. His soldiers refuse. They've been marching for 9 years. They've traveled over 20,000 miles. They're exhausted, wounded, disease-ridden. They want to go home. Alexander is furious. He retreats to his tent for 3 days, the same tactic he used after killing Kratistos, waiting for his men to change their minds. They don't. For the first time in his life, Alexander is forced to turn back. It's a psychological breaking point. The man who conquered the world has finally found a limit, his own soldiers' endurance. The return journey is a nightmare. Alexander chooses to march through the Gadrosian Desert, modern-day southern Iran, one of the harshest environments on Earth. Why? Some historians say it's strategic. Others believe it's Alexander punishing his army for refusing to continue. Over 10,000 soldiers die in the desert from heat, thirst, and starvation. It's one of the worst disasters in military history. By the time they reach Babylon in 323 BC, Alexander is 32 years old and utterly exhausted. He's taken countless wounds over the years: arrows, spears, sword cuts. He's suffered head trauma, lung damage, possibly malaria. His body is breaking down. But he's still planning new conquests. He wants to invade Arabia. He wants to circle Africa. He wants to conquer Western Europe. He can't stop. He doesn't know how to be anything other than a conqueror. And then, in June 323 BC, he develops a fever. The fever starts after a banquet. Within days, Alexander is bedridden. Within a week, he can barely speak. His generals gather, desperate for orders. The empire is vast, complex, held together by Alexander's personality alone. Without him, it will collapse. Who will inherit the empire? They ask. Alexander whispers, Kratistos, the strongest. And then he dies. He's 32 years old. He's ruled for 12 years. He's conquered 3 empires and never lost a battle. And he dies in bed, from illness, like any ordinary man. What killed him? Theories abound. Malaria, typhoid, alcohol poisoning, assassination by poisoning. Several ancient sources claim his generals murdered him. Modern forensics can't confirm anything because Alexander's body has never been found. Yes, you read that correctly. The body of the most famous conqueror in history disappeared. According to ancient accounts, Alexander's body was preserved in honey and placed in a golden sarcophagus. Ptolemy, one of his generals, hijacked the funeral procession and took the body to Egypt. It was displayed in Alexandria for centuries. Julius Caesar visited it. Augustus reportedly broke off Alexander's nose while viewing it. But by the 4th century AD, the body had vanished. Despite 2,000 years of searching, no one has ever found Alexander's tomb. It's one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. But the mystery of his body pales compared to the mystery of his legacy. Within hours of Alexander's death, his empire begins to tear itself apart. His generals, the Diadochi, fight for control in a series of wars that last 40 years and kill millions. The empire fragments into kingdoms: Ptolemaic Egypt, the Seleucid Empire in Persia, the Antigonid dynasty in Macedonia. None of Alexander's heirs survive. His half-brother is murdered. His son, born after his death, is murdered. His wife Roxana is murdered. Every person with a legitimate claim to Alexander's throne is systematically eliminated. But Alexander's cultural legacy survives. The cities he founded, Alexandria in Egypt, Kandahar in Afghanistan, dozens more, become centers of Greek culture across Asia. Greek becomes the common language from the Mediterranean to India. Greek philosophy, art, architecture, and science spread throughout the known world. This Hellenistic age shapes civilization for centuries. Without Alexander, there's no Hellenistic culture. Without Hellenistic culture, there's no Roman Empire, which adopted and spread Greek culture. Without Rome, there's no Western civilization as we know it. Alexander's conquests created the foundation for the modern world. But at what cost? His campaigns killed hundreds of thousands. His sieges destroyed ancient cities. His policies of forced cultural integration erased local traditions. He spread Greek culture by the sword, imposing it on conquered peoples who had no choice. Was he a visionary who united the world? Or a tyrant who destroyed it? Every generation reinvents Alexander. To the Romans, he was the ultimate military genius. To medieval Christians, he was a cautionary tale about pride. To Napoleon, he was inspiration. Napoleon slept with a copy of Alexander's biography under his pillow. To modern historians, he's a complex, contradictory figure, brilliant and brutal, visionary and megalomaniacal, transformative and destructive. Perhaps the truth is that Alexander was all of these things. He was a man who conquered the world but couldn't conquer himself, who spread culture by destroying cultures, who dreamed of uniting humanity but did it through violence, who believed himself a god but died like any mortal. He lived 32 years. He changed the world forever. And 2,300 years later, we're still trying to understand him. His tomb remains lost, buried somewhere in the sands of time. But his legend is immortal. Because Alexander understood something fundamental about human nature. We worship strength. We admire ambition. We remember those who dare to be extraordinary, even when that daring leads to tragedy. This was Alexander the Great. The man who conquered the world. The man who proved that one individual, with enough will, can change the entire course of history. And the man who reminds us that even the mightiest conquerors are still, in the end, only human.